Everyone, welcome to the newest video from Lean Six Sigma training channel on YouTube. Today's lesson we are going to talk about one of the most important elements on defines phase from the MIG methodology, which is critical to quality. In other words, a description and considerations about what customers really want in our product or in our services. So today I would like to start this video with a situation and then a question about this. Suppose that you're going to a fast food restaurant which serves pizza, and considering that, what are the key factors that you consider to buy or not a pizza in that restaurant? Think about this question, and in the end of this video we're going to discuss a little bit this example and build a critical to quality tree to describe these elements. So let's start. The presentation is divided in two parts. The part one is the concepts, which is divided in what is VOC, why it's so important to listen customer needs, customer identification, data collection tools, customer expectations, voice of the customer, and finally, but last but not least, CTQ tree. Considering that, let's start. Okay, so what is VOC? When you're starting your project, it's mandatory to define who is your customer as well as what is the voice of the customer, or in other words, VOC. Okay, customers want to buy something that meets their desires, their needs, and go beyond their expectations. All of this, I would like to go in depth about customer needs and expectations. So customer needs are divided in basic, expected, desired, and unanticipated. Let's consider an example to describe it better. Suppose that you go to a hotel. The basic elements are the bed, pillow, shower, or bath. The expected is someone take your luggage to the room for you. The desired is a hot tub with mountain view. It's something worthwhile to have but not necessarily provided. And finally, the unanticipated is that something that go beyond customer expectations. In this case, a bottle of wine as a gift. On the concept of VOC, why is so important to listen to customer needs? Okay, here it's possible to see that by understanding the customer needs, it's possible to make decisions on products and services, as well as identify product features and specifications. All of these is possible to create a product that fits properly the customer needs, desires, and expectations. But more than that, this allows companies to keep profitable. In addition, here we can see that there is a customer life cycle. There are 5 steps. So acquisition, retention, attrition, defection, and reacquisition. On the left side of the screen, there is a comparison between the costs in regards to customer life cycle. Firstly, there is a customer acquisition cost, which is extremely high. Then the retention is the lower cost. And finally, the customer requisition, when the company spends a lot of money to get the customer back to buy their products, but they will spend a lot of money to do that. Customer identification. This is considered a cornerstone of the define phase because it provides a true north to set who will provide inputs to improvement. As a first step, customer is divided in internal customers and external customers. Internal customers could be linked to Ishikawa, who stated that next operation as a client. This means that the next stage of the process needs to receive quality in order to generate quality. Further, the external customers are divided in end users. These are that one who will use the product, intermediate, which are dealers and resellers, and finally impacted parties, societies, and everyone who will be impacted by the process of delivering value and goods. Into consideration that we've already defined what is VOC and the customer structure, it is time to talk about how to get information from them. So here we have the customer data, and there are two approaches that we're going to talk about. First, the reactive way. This way we need to get information from complaints or call centers. In this method, the customer has already experienced a situation with the product. So after he has some problems with the product, he will complain, and this is our fuel to analyze and to get information from the customer, for example. And the other approach is proactive. And in this situation, one strategy and structure is defined to get information through surveys, focus groups, and interviews. But there are some key factors that should be considered when acquiring data. First, the cost, the time, and results that we're going to have. So it's known that surveys or focus group is extremely expensive. So it needs to be designed properly in order to reduce the cost and acquire data or results that are strongly positive and will get the results that we need. Okay guys, after all of this stuff, we are getting closer to the real interesting part of this presentation. So when we consider the aspects and specifications that come from the customers and the company objectives, which are deployed through Hoshin planning or balanced scorecard, we can define what is critical to quality to both worlds. In other words, customer and the company. So through CTQs, it's possible to identify the features of the product or services that meet customer needs as well as the company objectives and goals. So by the sum of the objectives from the company and the needs and expectations from the customers, it's possible to set the CTQs, which are the critical to quality elements that we need to study and understand to keep profitable and to keep selling our products and services. Okay, based on critical to quality concept, now it is possible to deploy a roadmap or guide. Firstly, as previously said, it is necessary to know who are the customers, internal or external, and what they want or their needs and expectations. Then, it's mandatory to collect data through reactive approach or proactive approach. In other words, through complaints or surveys, focus groups. Following that, it's necessary to convert all this information into customer needs. Then, it's important to evaluate the most important features through prioritization matrix. And finally, obtain specifications from these characteristics. All this stuff could be done by a tool called CTQ tree that we're going to see right now. We're going to talk about one of the most amazing elements that helps a lot during this phase. And more than a tool, it is a link between the company and the customers, transforming general data into specific and even something hard to measure to something easily measured. The main concept here is that the need is translated into a driver and then it is translated into a requirement or CTQ. On the left side of this screen is possible to see that the need is translated into three drivers, which is stratified to 2 requirements per driver. This is a simple example here, and just to show how similar to a tree it is. And I would like to ask you a question. So we should analyze every aspect that the customer consider important. The answer is maybe or not, because sometimes we need to spend a lot of money to analyze all the requirements. So we should avoid spending a lot of money, sorry, and focus on the key drivers or in the key elements. This is possible to uh, achieve by house of quality or other different approach. And here, finally, it's possible to see that the goal is to translate initial customer requirements to numerical requirements of the product or services. In other words, something that is possible to measure and to improve. We're going to run through the best part of this presentation. Considering that we have learned some key concepts and elements of the first part, let's show some good examples of practical life or that is common for someone who is listening or watching this video. In this first example, we're going to talk about a restaurant manager who wants to know what customers are looking for when going out for a meal, in this case a pizza. After designing and performing a survey, he got the following elements. As a need, the customers want to order a meal. The drivers are waiting time, price, size of the pizza temperature, and the dough thickness. The requirements for all of them are: for waiting time, the customers want to have their meal in less than 10 minutes. The price below $15. The size of the pizza more than 10 inches. The food temperature between 60 and 80 degrees, and dough thickness lower than 0.5 inches. So if the manager wants to impress or go beyond the customer's expectations, there are some elements that should be obeyed and developed to increase the revenue, the profit of the company. So here's a good example, and I believe that most of the people feels that is true, because who wants to have a pizza in less than 10 minutes in a crowded mall? So this is a good example, as I said. Last example, we're going to talk about a closed store manager who would like to achieve goals set through hosting planning. Both goals are related to customer satisfaction and profitability. Different from the previous example, this one has two main needs, one from the customer viewpoint and the other from company viewpoint. So the needs are customer services and profitability. Both are stratified into staff, product variety, store temperature, revenue per day, and overall profit rate. Finally, the CTQs related to those drivers are greeting time less than 1 minute, smile same percent of the time. In regards to product variety, at least 10 brands. The store temperature should be between 20 and 25 degrees Celsius. The revenue per day should be more than $25,000, and the overall profit rate should be more than 35%. So here it's possible to see that there are two main groups that should be analyzed. One from is customer and the other is the company. Both of them there has different approaches about the services. So The manager should focus in both sides.